Alrighty, Ren. This is Miss Tracy. So let's look at lesson 108 right now. In pre-algebra, we have a table here that we need to complete, the fraction and the decimal, and we're given the percent here to complete it with. So we have to create the decimal and the fraction for each one of these. So here we have the percent 0.04. Now percent just means over 100. So we could put this over 100. And we know that a fraction is a division problem, right? We know that we can't have a decimal in a fraction. So in order to resolve that, we're going to come up here and we're going to say 0.04 divided by 100. And that's going to give us our decimal. That is the right decimal for this percent. So that's 3 zeros, so that would be 0.0004. Okay, so we also know from our lesson that however many decimal places we have, then that's how many zeros need to be in our fraction for this to be a whole number. And the way we do that is by counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I multiply this by 1,000 times 1,000, actually it's 4 places, so it needs to be 10,000. Then that gives me the whole number 4. So in order to turn that into a fraction, I would have to say 4 over 10,000. That is the goal of the fraction, is to have a whole number on top of this. Now, this is not completely reduced. We know we can reduce this, both the top and the bottom, by 4. So I'm going to divide 4 by 4. I get 1. And I'm going to divide 10,000 by 4. So 10, 1, 2, 3, divided by 4. That's 2,500. So that would be the right answer. That would be our fraction that we're looking for. So here's our decimal. We get the decimal by putting this, whatever this is, over 100 and dividing. Then we take this, and however many decimal places we have, that's how many zeros go down here to make this a whole number on top. So our fraction would be 1 over 2,500. Oops. 1 over 2,500. My keyboard must not have been activated yet. And then our decimal is going to be 0.1234. 3 zeros and a 4. Same thing here. We're going to do the same exact steps. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of this fraction and put this into a decimal form so that we know what that is. And we know that half is 0.5. And if you aren't sure what that is, you can always just say 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So it's going to be 22.5. So this is 22.5%. So we're going to put 22.5 over 100 and divide to get our decimal. And that's going to be 0.225. So 0.225. Now we need to put that in a fraction format. So in order to do that, we need 1, 2, 3 zeros. So the number 1 and 1, 2, 3 zeros would make that 225 on top. So to double check, we're going to multiply this by 1,000. 225, okay? That's just the inverse operation here. So we multiplied by 1,000 to get 225. You can also divide by 1,000 and you're back to this original decimal. That's how you know you did it right, okay? Now, however, this can be reduced. And I know I can get 25 out of the top and the bottom. So I'm going to divide both of those by 25. So 225 divided by 25 is 9. And 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. Now the factors of 9 are 3 and 3. The factors of 40 are 4 and 10, 2, 2, 2 and 5, So we don't have any common factors anymore. So this is as far as it can go. So we're going to go ahead and type this information in. That's going to be 9 over 40 for our fraction. And our decimal is going to be 0.225. Okay. Last one, we have 1/4%. Well, all we have to do to figure out what that is divide 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So that's 0.25%, right? So 0.25 over 100. So we divide that by 100, and that gives us our decimal, 0.0025. And we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros times this. So multiply that times 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. That's 25 over the top. Now, I know that both of those are reducible, so I'm going to divide both of these by 25. So if I divide the top by 25, that gives me 1. And if I divide the bottom, it's 10,000 divided by 25. That's going to give me 400. So this is my reduced fraction. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in my fraction. 1 over 400. And then I'm going to put in my decimal, 0.0025. And I'm going to check it. And everything's correct. All right. So let's clear this. And let's look at this one. If 750 is increased by 62.25%, what is the resulting number? All right, so if we start out with our original number is 750, right? That's our number. Our original number is 100% of our starting amount. Now, if we increase that by 62.25%, we know that a quarter, because of our last exercise, is 0.25. So we're going to increase it, so that means we're going to add 62.25 to 100. So our new amount is 162.25%, right? Because we added that to this. So what we have to do now is find the missing number. So we're going to set this up to where we always want to put these numbers in relationship to one another in a way that makes sense. This makes sense just like it is. So we're going to say 750 over x is equal to 100 over 162.25. We're going to cross multiply and solve. So 750 times 162.25 is equal to this number, which is really, really big. And over here, x times 100 is 100x. And I'm going to write this number out now, 121,687.5. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 100, because that's what we do to separate these two factors. 100 over 100 is 1. That leaves us x. And when we divide this by 100, we just move the decimal place, basically. 1216.875. And that is our answer. So I'm going to type that in, 1216.875. And I'm going to check it, and that's correct. All right, next problem. Clear this. You just have to think about, what is the problem asking me? All right, so this is a straight equation. Is our equal sign. What number? That's the question. So that's our x. We don't know what that is. What number is 15.5% of 9,000? Of is multiplication. Half is 0.5. So 15.5% of 9,000. In order to multiply this, we have to put it in a decimal format. So all we have to do is say 15.5 over 100, right? 15.5 divided by 100 is 0.155. So x is equal to 0.155 times 9,000. So we're going to do that. We're going to take this 0.155 times 9,000. And our answer is 1395. X is equal to 1,395. So we're going to put that in here. 1,395 and check it, and it's correct. All right, so we have another table to do. Easy peasy, just like we did before. In order to make a decimal, we take our 9.2%, we turn this into over 100. 9.2 over 100, and we divide. 9.2 divided by 100 equals 0.092. Now if you look, we've got 2 zeros, so we're just moving the decimal place 2 times. That's all you have to do when you divide by 100. It's the same answer. But if you need to do it on the calculator just to make sure you're getting the right place, that's fine too. So now we have to turn that into a fraction. So in order to do that, we put 92 over 1 and the number of decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's see if we can reduce. This is an even number, so let's see if we can divide that by 2. So 92 divided by 2 equals 46. Well, we divided by 2. Let me write that down. Let's see if we can divide by another 2. Divided by 2. All right, that's another 2. And that's going to be 4. So we divided by 4. So we'll double check. 96 divided by 4 is 24. Oh, well, you have to start with the right number, Miss Tracy. 92 divided by 4 is 23. 23 is a prime number. So we're going to divide both sides by 4, and that's going to give us 23. And then we're going to divide 1,000 by 4. 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. So our reduced fraction is 23 over 250. All right. So we have our decimal, and that is 0.092. And we have our fraction, which is 23 over 250. All right, so now we're going to do this one. We have 86.25%. We put 86.25 over 100 and divide. 86.25 divided by 100 equals 0.8625. You see the pattern? Good. All right. Now we count the number of spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we write this whole number above the top. 8625. All right. So now we just reduce. We reduce this. So let's reduce 8625. Let's see if we can reduce it by 25. Divided by 25, we get a whole number. So divided by 25 on the top equals 345. Let's see if we can reduce that some more. Divided by 5, we get 69. Okay, so divided by 5 equals 69. Well, I know we can divide that by more. Let's divide that by 23. Divided by 23 is 3. All right, so we have all our factors here. We have 25, so it's 5 times 5. And we have 5, and then we have 23, and we have 3. Those are all the factors we used to get from here. And if you want to double check, you just say 5 times 5 times 5 times 23 times 3, 8625. So we know we have the right factors. So now we just need to figure out what to divide by. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our 10,000, that's what that is right here, 10,000, and divide by the biggest number we have, which is going to be 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. So divide it by 125. And we get 80. Okay, so we use those. So divided by 125, that gave us 80. Well, let's see if we can divide that by 23 or 3. Divided by 23. No. So let's back up. Divided by 3. Nope. So we can't divide the top and the bottom by any other number besides 125. So that's what we're going to do. If we divide the top by 8625 by 125, we get 80. And if we divide the bottom by 125, oh, I'm sorry. I did that wrong. We divide the bottom by 125, we get 80. If we divide the top, 8625 divided by 125, we get 69. 69, the only factors here are 23 times 3, and the factors of 80 are not 3 or 23 at all. So that's as far as we can go. That's fully reduced. So we're going to put in our fraction, which is 69 over 80. That's fully reduced. And our decimal, which is 0.8625. Okay? Check it. And that was the last one. That was it. So if you don't seem to understand what we're doing, here are the steps again. Take the percent and put it over 100. Okay, that removes the percent sign. Putting it over 100 removes the percent sign. Then you divide. That gives you your decimal value. Okay, now you take that decimal and you count the number of decimal spaces you have, and that's how many zeros behind the 1 you put in the denominator. And then you take this whole number here, turn it into a whole number, and put it on top. That is the fraction that represents this decimal. And if you're not sure if you did it right, you can always check it on the calculator. 8625 divided by 10,000 should give you back the decimal, right? So if you have this right and you have this right, then all you have to do now is reduce the fraction, and you know how to do that. Once you reduce the fraction to its smallest form, then that's your answer. And that's all you're doing. All right, sweetheart, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask.